Hi guys, welcome back. Hi guys, now I'm ready to show you how I put this headband together. What I went ahead and did, I cut this pattern from a scrap of paper I had, and the measurement for this headband here is 16 by 15. This is a perfect fit for me, and I guess it would be for others. Alright, so on the 16-inch side I made a center notch. So basically this is the side we're going to stitch, and I want everything to match and be the same. So as I said, the 16 by 15 pattern, and this piece is for the elastic. I cut it about 12 inches by 3, and the elastic I cut it 7 inches. So when I stitch in half an inch on each side, the elastic ends up to be 6 inches. Alright, so that is that. Now for the fabric, I'm going to be using this print fabric here, and this print fabric is jersey. It's stretched really well in both directions, and when you're getting ready to make headbands, if you want it to stretch, you always get jersey material. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just put my fabric down and go ahead and cut, and then I'll come back and show you how I put it all together. I'm at the machine and I'm going to start to show you how I put this together. But first I'm going to be filling my bobbin. Alright, so on the 16-inch side, you're going to put the right sides together and you're going to stitch along that side. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, as I did on this one, is to go over on the right side and give a top stitch on this side and another top stitch on the opposite side. This is optional. So the next step, you find the middle and you notch, and you do that on the opposite side. Then this seam, you put it to the notch that you just did and you pin that. So now you know your seam is in the center. Alright, so my next step is right here. What I normally do for gathering is to give it 2 stitches. So I'm going to go and give this 2 stitch along here. So I'm going to turn my dial to my loose stitch. This is the stitch that I did, just 1/4 inch away from the edge. And then you're going to pick the threads from the bottom. You're going to pick 2 of the threads Right, you're going to take the two bottom threads together and you pull. And what you can do, you can pull this up to that point and then do the same thing onto that side if you find it difficult. Alright, and that should be your gathering. This is how it looks here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side. Alright, so the next step is to put the elastic onto the band itself. Remember this seam in the back, you're going to take your end and you're just going to put it right by the seam. You take this other end and you slightly lap it over that other end, and then you're going to stitch this just to hold it in. So now we have that hold in here. It's basically just like this. So now we have that hold. You're going to take the elastic and you're going to put it right here, and then you're going to stitch the elastic down. The next step is to take your elastic piece of fabric, the one that you're going to use to put the elastic in, and on the right side you join together and you stitch along the long end. Alright, so now I finished stitching this. What I normally do is just get a pin, just attach it to one side, and then you just turn that in with the pin, and you go along it and pull the fabric out. I went ahead and pressed this. You can go ahead and press this just to make sure the seam is in the middle. Then you put the pin into your elastic like this. Make sure that the seam is in the back. You're going to turn it over, right, so that is the same as this, because this is the top of the band, and you're just going to push the elastic in. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is fold this in. Fold this bit that we just put on, just fold it a bit in on the ends. What's going to happen here is I'm going to pull this over these raw edges. so once you have everything, once you have this pulled down over the edges, once you pin them, they stay in place just like this. And then you just go over to the machine and you give it a fine stitch over, making sure if you're stitching on this end, make sure that you're catching the fabric under here, and if you're stitching on that end, do the same for that. This is the stitch that I did here. This is how it looks. It doesn't look too bad at the back. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is pull this elastic through. I'm going to take the elastic, make sure the top of the band is facing you, and you just bring it over like that. Alright, and once you have your other side stitch, you go ahead and you stitch along. So this is the headband all done right here. This is the one I made previously. This is for me. So if you like these, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.